Hello everyone, this is Dawn. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to another video collaboration with members of Crafty Concepts with Erin. We are working our way through the sketches from the annual catalog. So today I'm going to do this sketch, put it a little bit closer to the camera, and I'm going to stretch this sketch to 2 pages for a double page layout. So the papers that I'm going to use are from the Gathering Together collection. There's lots of autumn colors and leaves and gold foiling on these papers. And they're really pretty. And then there's some good plaids and wood grain and some other basic designs. So the photos that I'm going to scrapbook are from a couple weeks ago. My brother and sister-in-law, my husband and I, we went up to Erie, Colorado, just north of Denver, and we did some rail biking. So it was so much fun. It's like pedal cars on the railroad tracks there. There used to be a coal mine up there and railroad tracks, so they found a good use for them. And it was a beautiful evening and just a lot of fun. We went about 4 miles round trip and yeah, took some pictures here. So this is the group, and I thought I would focus in on that burgundy color that my husband's wearing. And I tried some of the other foliage designs for the DSP, and just too many colors made it too busy. So I'm going to stick with the basics here with Cajun Craze and Espresso. And looking at this design again, I want to ground the design. It seems like it's kind of floating in the middle of the page there. So I'm going to create a line of pattern paper down the center to ground everything. So I'm just gonna, let's start with 6 inches, and I'll just place that down and we'll see what that looks like. Oftentimes when you have a busy patterned paper, small amounts are good, and then if you push them to either to the top or the sides, they don't take on that busy effect. And that way you can use a lot of these beautiful papers. So I think I'm going to lay my photos out on this wood grain, but I want to bring this plaid in. So I'm going to create a frame around the wood grain with the plaid. So let's go ahead and start cutting this wood grain. I'm going to need 8 inches across for my 5x7 picture. And then I'll duplicate that same size for the right page. And then I'm going to do 9 inches vertically. And I think that'll be enough to accommodate my pictures. So I'm going to bring the smaller ones in just to kind of put this puzzle together to see which pictures I'm going to be able to use. And we'll just kind of fuss with them a bit. I'm going to overlap them a little bit, kind of collage style like the sketch shows. I'm going to squeeze in extra pictures though, and I printed them at smaller sizes. I think they're probably 3x5 on the sketch, but I printed mine at 3x4, and like this particular one, in order to get both my husband and I in the picture and not have it cropped, I just kind of fiddled with the program on my Epson and cropped it down, so it's a little bit smaller than 3x4. And then we'll see about these pictures here. This one, it's a bit of a pickle. I don't want to cover it up too much, and I don't want to cover up too much of the 5x7. Move it around and we'll figure it out. We'll just let it live there for a second, or push it over to the right side. And then I took this picture, and then after I printed it, I cut it into a circle. And so that's gonna kind of be my subtitle. And let's go ahead and cut this plaid piece. So I'm going to cut it an inch larger than my wood grain. So we'll cut that at 9 by 10. So there's an inch of, the base color is crumb cake. So there will be an inch at the top and bottom to frame everything. Just making sure before I cut that I'm cutting the right size. And then off camera, I will gut this plaid paper. The back has some pretty gold foiling, and I don't want to waste any of this pretty design. So I will gut both sides so that I can use that extra bit on another project. And then with the side pieces, rather than having it sit underneath, I'm going to just cut an inch and a half all the way across. So I've got those strips rather than a large 6 by 12. So this is what the plaid looks like gutted. And I thought I would have it pop a little bit more off of the background. So to do that, I'm going to ink all of the edges. So I'm going to ink the edges of everything, the leaf pattern paper, and also the base crumb cake cardstock, as well as the wood grain. Okay, so now everything is inked and I've got it all adhered. And this die set, it's Spotlight on Nature, and it's an older die set, but it fit perfectly for the circle for my subtitle with the rail biking sign. And then I have another, I decided to cut that picture of the actual rail bikes into a circle. It's sort of a subtopic, and I wanted to at least have a picture of the bikes. There's pictures of us on the bikes, but I wanted the bikes themselves. So I cut that in a circle, and it's going to live right there for a second. And then I went to my Cricut and I just typed into Access railroad tracks, and I came up with this image, and I've cut that using crumb cake cardstock, and it is about 1 inch by 4 1/4. And so I cut 4 of them, and I'll glue those down at the base. Okay, let's do some stamping. This is an older stamp set called Greatest Adventure, but I love this train stamp. So any opportunity I have to be able to use this stamp, I'm going to. So I have basic beige, and I'm going to ink it up in crumb cake, and we'll go ahead and stamp that out. And my original idea was to stamp it lightly and then do my journaling on top of it. But after I stamped it here, I'll pull this up and make sure it's all, I just love that. And so I decided I didn't want to cover anything up with journaling. And I'm going to go ahead and get a circle die, and we'll cut another circle. So we'll have 3 circles on across both pages rather than 2. So odd numbers are your friends, so it works out. So I'm going to pull one of these Spotlight on Nature dies, and then off camera I'll cut that out. So because I'm cutting another circle, I'm going to shift things around. So the large train image is going to go on the right page, and then we'll move that smaller circle of the rail cars over to the left. So I did my journaling on this patterned paper, and it's got some gold foiling. And so I just cut around it, and now I'm dovetailing each end to create that banner like is in the sketch. So we're going to shift it around just a little bit, but that's going to wind up on the right page. But first I'm going to ink around the edges so it pops a little bit more. And I just did a little bit of journaling about using the old coal mine train tracks, and using the pedal cars for rail biking, and it was so much fun. Not too taxing. It was pretty flat. So this set is called Words for the Season, and it has lots of seasonal dies, and I'm going to pull the one that says autumn. The font on this is so pretty. And then the stamp set has lots of additional phrases that can be put either on the front of cards or inside cards. And then I'm going to use this set called Gathering Moments, and it has lots of great dies and these huge leaves. So you can either cut it so that you've got this inside piece that you can do stitching on, or you can just do an outside. And there's stamps, lots of leaves, and they're just in lots of shades and interest with those stamps. So I'm going to use both. First, I'm going to go ahead and cut this large maple leaf using some of the patterned paper from Gathering Together, the collection. And we'll tuck that under my subtitle, and then we'll put Autumn Fun on top. So both were cut with gold foil, and I believe it's called Metallic Textures. I'll put a link in the description below. Comes with gold and tungsten, I think it's called, and silver. Now I'm going to do a bunch of stamping. Okay, so I've got everything in my MISTI, and I'm going to do several colors. So this first one is Early Espresso, and we'll just stamp everything out at once, and then off camera I'll cut everything out with the coordinating dies. So we've got acorns and mushrooms and fall foliage. And then the next color is, instead of using Cajun craze, I decided to use copper clay, and then crumb cake, and off camera I did crushed curry. So lots to choose from. So again, these images are from Gathering Moments. And then these two leaves I cut from this set. It's called Amber Autumn, and it's got this nice leaf die in it. And again, lots of really great autumn images. And then these little berries are from Branching Out. So there's a die right there, and I cut those in gold foil. Lots to choose from for my embellishment clusters. And then the word fun I cut using the mini alphabet dies in gold foil. Okay, so let's start creating our clusters. I'll glue everything down off camera, but I'm just gonna start placing different colors and different images to create clusters with those pops of the gold foiling and the little berries. So I'll just layer everything in, and we'll get an acorn. So I'm going to do a cluster on top of the large maple leaf, and then over on the right page I'm going to use these smaller ones that I cut using Cajun Craze cardstock. Rather than, I didn't have space for another huge leaf, so we'll use those, and then we'll work in some more of these gold berries and some of the stamped images to create lots of layers and interest. That one is a little too big. We'll pick a smaller leaf and work that in. So pretty. Lots of really good autumn stamp sets and die sets, and the papers with, there's 2 autumn collections using all these colors. My favorite time of year. Okay, so we'll add in some more berries, and then we'll work on that other circle on the left page to create another cluster on this area. So your eye will be led around the page by the 3 areas of embellishment clusters. Tuck some leaves under this circle. and just vary the different colors of the stamped images. And even though the paper doesn't have the crushed curry, the yellow color, my pictures have a couple spots with yellow, so I think it works nicely. Okay, so this is some linen thread, and I'm gonna just create some little tangles of thread to add to my embellishment clusters. So you just wrap it around your fingers, and depending on how large you want your circles to be, you can use 4 fingers or 3 fingers and just wrap them around, and then add a whole bunch of glue dots right where the threads meet each other. Sorry, this is off camera. And a little fussy, but just kind of shove it underneath there. Sometimes I can use the point of my my piercing tool. Other times I just push it under there, and it'll catch. And with the when you're using like 4 glue dots, it'll catch, and then it'll stay put. So we'll add another one, and then the third one. A little fussy, but I think it adds a nice, interesting feature to the clusters there. Okay, so now I'm going to add some dots. And first I was thinking along an industrial look. These are metal dots, but then I found these, and these are Pecan flat pearls, I believe. And they're clear dots. And I think I'm going to use those. They pop nicely. They work with the gold foil and add a little shine. They're a little persnickety trying to get them off the carrier sheet, so I'm going to use my my tool here, and then eventually I'll just start pulling them off with my fingers. So we'll get several of those clustered all around my title, and just to add a little sparkle and shine. I like the way they pop off of those darker colors. So I've got this sped up quite fast. We'll get all of those adhered. I will make a list of all the supplies that I use with links in the description below. And if you like what you see, you can hop on over to my website and purchase these items. And I will add the playlist at the end so that you can catch the rest of the team members' take on this sketch and see what they've come up with. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button, and then you'll be able to find all of my videos. I'll have still shots over on my socials, and the URLs are at the bottom of the screen there for my Facebook page and my Insta account. You can take a closer look at this layout. I really like the way it turned out. And thanks for watching.